Welcome back. It's still Daybreak on Trust Television, talking about the developments from across the country. Yes, Lagos State, they say, well, protesters and demonstrators have begun in earnest, ramping up activities across the state as we hear that they've started marching to the Alausa Secretariat, which is the seat of government. I will continue to bring updates for you on these developments as currently we're joined on the program by our reporter in Gombe State, Hassan Kuli. Good morning, Hassan. Welcome to the program. Can you tell us how the protest is taking shape over there in Gombe this morning?
Actually, there is no any demonstrators here in Gombe so far, with people still going into their normal activities. However, around the road, which is the major or busiest street here in Gombe, there is no single shop open so far, with security operatives stationed across the strategic location. But in the neighborhoods, there are a lot of shops open and continue with their activities, specifically traders. And you can see even people or catering services have already started offering services to people usually.
All right, Hassan, in the build-up to this day, what was the mood and general feel of residents in the state? Did it seem or feel like they were going to protest, or it was generally a lax attitude with people just going about their activities with no intention to come out to voice any grievance?
Actually, Mr. Sagir, a lot of people were not really going to participate, as they have already spoke to me earlier this morning. Most of the people hope that the protest here in Gombe will not go to the extent that they will not even go to their normal activities, because they are complaining that most of them, they have to come out on daily basis to work hard before they even get money to feed themselves and their family. So a lot of people here really hope that the demonstration will not even take place here in Gombe, so that they will go about their normal daily activities.
No, all right,
so far, as I can see, a lot of shops have started opening for their activities along the road here in Gombe, which is the most busiest street in Gombe.
So it's a regular day in Gombe State today.
Yeah, of course. However, there is no regular movement, but it looks like people have already started coming out from their home, going into their respective place of business.
All right, Hassan, thank you so much for the updates. Continue to observe them, of course, and stay safe, as you do so, because we never can tell when people will decide, to come out to voice their concerns and their grievances. We'll talk to you again definitely as events unfold.
Well done. You are welcome.
All right, there, Hassan Koli from Gombe giving us updates on the situation. Hassan says, well, it's business as usual, but just that it might be looking like a public holiday in Gombe with very few persons coming out, today. Most of them had voiced concerns that they would not even be able to come out to protest because they have to come out every day to fend for themselves and their family, so they may not be able to do that. But by and large, there you have it, developments from Gombe State. We'll be bringing you more as soon as we connect with our reporters from there. But now in the studio, we are joined by Ambassador Chibuzor Okereke. He is a public affairs analyst, and also Prof. Jude Momodu, a security analyst and a director at the Center for Peace and Security at Modibo Adama University, Yola, joins us via video chat as well. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Ambassador Chibuzor, let me start with you. So it's D-Day for the protest. Expectations that some persons would come out in some states and also in other states, as we've seen, specifically in northern state, not so many persons have, come out to indicate interest to demonstrate. What's your assessment of the development so far? Because I know you must have heard reports from different parts of the country, of course.
Well, that is because today is not actually the D-Day, and that's what I can tell you. You see, in social mobilization, for many of us who have participated, you cannot declare a national day of rage against your country and as an anonymous. It's not done anywhere. You are calling for a protest that will impact the entire economy, systems, movement of people. The country is practically shut down today because somebody posted something on social media without the necessary coordination, to be able to drive the process and make, whatever plans you have to come to light. We have done many protests in the past, and I can tell you that you can say these are the people that will be responsible in Enugu, in Gombe, in Sokoto, and what have you. Without that level of coordination, what you're going to have is crisis. So what you see now, what you see happening today is as a result of the fears of what we had witnessed in 2020 during the NSAS protests, which again, as a result of the anonymous issue at a time, because when the protests in 2020 started, we had people like Sagir and other enough is enough well-known civil society organizations putting out the demand. But having said that, let me also say that what the citizens, because not protesters now, what citizens have put forward in the Charter of Demand for this particular protest is nothing new. These are things that the politicians have campaigned about. And these are the same things for which they protested against the military to leave power. Even the president was a chief protester at the time. These were also the same things that the party that won in 1999 campaigned on. Those that succeeded them campaigned on these same issues that have been put forward. So I think the citizens are just saying, government, political leaders, respond to the things you have promised you're going to, All the politicians from the president to the least have all said that Nigeria is suffering from bad governance and poor leadership. All of them, with no exception, including the current government. So what has become an issue is the coordination gap to be able to mobilize citizens with known organizations and groups to deliver it. You cannot deliver nationwide protest being an anonymous. Because in a country, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is the same country where fellow citizens are kidnapping their brothers and sisters and colleagues and collecting ransom. Some of our citizens are involved in terrorism and bombing churches and mosques and markets. So you cannot come on air and just say that we are going to have National Day of Rage against the country. What you're also saying is that both the good and the bad and the ugly, please come out and do what you know how to do best. If you do that, you will miss the mark. And that's the challenge you are having.
But then again, the Department of State Services have come out to say that they have identified some of the sponsors of this protest. Do you think it would have been better if the DSS had stated out the names of the sponsors so that we would know what?
Well, there is nothing like sponsors. I can tell you that whoever made the first flyer and posted online will be somewhere smiling now. The people you see now as sponsors or lead teams are people who simply cashed on the anonymous posture of that particular announcement. When you are doing a national protest of this scale, there will be strategy team, there is going to be a design, there is going to be coordination, there is going to be this charter of demands. There will, because you have 3 levels.
All right.
There will be people on the street that will be protesting. There will be another level of people that will engage stakeholders, because at the end of the war, we'll still go to Georgia.
All right, let's
if that coordination is not there, you will have crisis.
Let's now go to Professor Jude Momodu, a security analyst and the director of the Center for Peace and Security. He joins us virtually from Yola. Good morning, Professor. So the consequences of having such demonstration without a leadership, an anonymous leadership, if you would say, across the country with no sort of coordination, one would say the security implication would be dire. Can you talk to us about these particular security implications and the need to have structured protests across the country, especially if it relates to issues such as this? Okay, we hope to reconnect with Professor much later. But then again, I understand we have Bello Musa joining us from Kaduna. Good morning, Bello. Welcome to the program. So tell us how the developments are shaping up over there in Kaduna this morning.
The situation in Kaduna this morning is very calm. People are going about their normal business. But you can see behind me the street so deserted because of the fear. Since yesterday, people have started spreading rumors that today is going to be chaotic. And that's why people are not on the street today. They refuse to come out for their normal business. Banks are closed. Market is yet to open. Though the situation is quite clear, and there are security stations as strategic locations at different places in Kaduna here. So Kaduna this morning is very calm.
So, was the concern generally before today that people will not be coming out to demonstrate, or did it just all happen today? What was the mood and feel before today?
Today there is no demonstration in Kaduna as we speak. People decided to remain at home than to come out to the protest. Because as I said earlier, Kaduna is very delicate state because it has supported so many crises in the past. So there have been calls for releasing from the government, from political.
Okay, I don't think we can hear Bello anymore. Bello, there seems to be an interference, most likely from the wind, of course. But then, Aisha, wanted to ask you a question.
Bello, I was going to ask about, some people would also agree that Kaduna is also another commercial hub, and you have stated that a lot of people, due to fear, they are not coming out to conduct business activities or going to work. What impact do you think this would have on the economy of Kaduna State, business-wise?
Definitely it's going to affect businesses in Kaduna because behind me is the city center, which is where Sheikh Abubakar market is located. So you can see the shops are closed, the market is closed as well. Definitely it's going to affect businesses here in Kaduna State.
All right, Bello, thank you so much for these developments. We do hope to touch base with you subsequently, as events unfold. And there you have it, Bello Musa from Kaduna State, bringing us up to speed with the developments there. Also in Kaduna, we could see deserted streets. As he said, protesters or Nigerians didn't come out, to demonstrate today because of concerns. Of course, like Mr. Okereke said, the traumas from EndSARS is what has made people, a bit careful. But then again, Mr. Okereke, it doesn't exonerate the government of the fact that Nigerians face real challenges. And these challenges has been the reasons why they've come out to say, look, we're tired of it, we cannot continue. And maybe for one reason or the other, they've not found the proper channels, to vent these grievances. So what would you have advised that Nigerians do aside, taking to the streets in demonstration to these issues?
No, there's nothing wrong taking to the streets. But you see, citizens are individuals. The world is organized in family, in friends, in community, in villages, in states, in nation, in continent. So that is the challenge in saying citizens should come out without being, identified within a group or circle so that a coordinated goal is achieved. So when you have seen that in the past, it succeeded, largely. However, what is connecting everybody together is what both the government and the governed are very much aware of: bad governance. Nobody needs any prophet or diviner to tell you about the level of bad governance in the country. This country is not being based on merit. You can't even get by in Nigeria. People hardly get by, not to talk about get ahead. No competitiveness in anything. Everything is superimposed on power and control. Unemployment is there. People, when I went to school, there are people who only come to school 3 days because the other 2 days they are going to go to work to be able to pay their fees. And then when they are out of school, they are not able to get a job because the jobs are being sold. Now they are frustrated. You have core members that are deployed by the state, and then they are posted to a primary place of assignment, they are rejected. And the same state is asking them to go and look for where to do their primary assignment. I mean, I can't understand it. So it seems to be like a collapse of institutional capacity to govern. The government in power now complained about that. The previous government complained about. So citizens are united that this country needs to change and begin to work for them. And it is not happening. So I think that that same strategy of having a coordinated outlook, because you see, you cannot burn down your country because you think that the politicians are running it, in a bad shape. If you burn down your country, you will suffer for it. So I think that first of all, we have to have, proper political literacy. That politics is important. We must not trivialize electoral process. We must seize the opportunity of electoral process to ensure that it's a major, because it's a major gateway to leadership recruitment. If you police it adequately. So when things happen, don't blame politicians, blame institutions. For instance, don't say, oh, it is the rigged for the president. You go to INEC and protest for 1 month, 2 months, INEC will not function. And then they have to wake up with demand for resignation. We don't do that. After elections, when people protest, you protest against politicians that have been declared winner. No, we should be, in our thinking, it should be institutional based to address institutional responsibility and not just individuals.
Yeah, we can't help but agree with you, Mr. Okereke. But we'll go over now to join our guest who is joining us virtually, Professor Jude Momodu, a security analyst and also a director at Center for Peace and Security, Modibo Adama University in Yola. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us on the morning show this morning. Now, we have been having the discussion with Mr. Okereke here in the studio, and then he talked about the fact that some of these conveners of this protest, they are anonymous, faceless. I'd like to hear from you. What do you think would be the security threat regarding to the fact that we have these anonymous conveners and sponsors of this protest? It's not properly structured according to Mr. Okereke. What would you say is the security impact of this?
Yes, thank you for the question. I think it's going to have a very serious backlash on the security of the state. Let's take a few from the instance of 2020. During that protest, we saw it was a very well-organized protest. We saw very important personalities such as Obi, Ijekusili, Femi Falana, and other very important people. But along the line, we saw that the protest was hijacked, and we saw what happened. The backlash of that protest. A lot of people were killed, properties were destroyed, public institutions were also destroyed. Let us come to what is happening at the current protest. What we are seeing is that we are seeing some persons, young persons who have been talking and trying to create a tension in the country. But then we are seeing people like Femi Falana, who we know that has been very prominent in most of the protests we have had, come out to say that the protest is faceless, that we don't even know those who are planning the protest. So to me, I think that is suspect. The protest is suspect, and the implication that this might have is that we are going to have a situation whereby hoodlums and people who do not mean well for the Nigerian state would want to create mayhem. And that's why it's important that the security agencies must make sure that they are supposed to ensure that they do not only monitor those who are protesting, also ensure that they fish out anybody that may want to work to cause any form of breach to Nigerian security. Again, you cannot achieve anything good from this kind of protest that's not well structured, where you don't know what, you don't know, you cannot pinpoint one very important thing that we have seen in the time past organizing protests. The danger against that if there's no leadership, if the protest is faceless, it means there's no leadership. It means nobody will caution anybody to say that, don't go beyond this. And I'm also happy that for the first time we are seeing groups across the nation who are showing solidarity. not only to the government, but to us as Nigerians to say that we don't want to go this far. Yes, their demands have been made known, and I believe that it also signals a very good message to those who are in power to begin to address the demands that have been made by this protest group. But again, I think this kind of protest that's not well structured can snowball into high-level violence, and that's why it's important that government should not begin to work. The DSS has said that they know those who are behind the protest. The DSS should come out and make their name known and let them talk to Nigerians, talk to us. Let us see whether they have something reasonable that they want to do for the country. But again, I think a faceless protest will lead to a very serious backlash in terms of the security. All of us know that the country is already is at the precipice, considering the kind of large-scale violence we have witnessed in the Southeast, the Boko Haram insurgency, banditry, and the tension, and the hunger in the land. So we cannot afford, the Nigerian state cannot afford to have this kind of protest where we don't know, we have not seen the people who have seen, people of inflexible character like Obi, Ezekusi, the NGO, enough, and other people that we have seen that have coordinated a very successful protest. This time I want to say that we are just seeing young persons that are not known to anybody who are coming out to threaten the Nigerian state. So I think the only now lies on the studio agency to ensure that they keep the peace of Nigerian state, and also ensure that nobody takes advantage of any sort to ensure that they do not break down the peace of Nigerian state. Thank you so much.
Mr. Jude, just to add, you're a professor of peace and security studies, and of course you understand the saying that sometimes war leads to peace and all of that developments. But then again, I wanted to ask, of course we understand that these demonstrators, these Nigerians are out there, demanding for justice and demanding that the government is awakened to their responsibilities. But then again, there are concerns about, the setup and the nature as well as the structure of these protests. Can you talk to us about some of these pointers and feelers, that are giving the impression that these protests might not yield the results that Nigerians think that, they are sorting after?
Why I think that the protests may not yield the kind of desired intention that we Nigerians want. In fact, the protest is not well structured. What are their demands? What you are saying is that if you look at their demands, first they said that it was hunger protest, but today I think they are moving to bad governance now. Bad governance. If you look at their demands, some of their demands are not demands that the government can really do something about. For instance, they are saying now that the government was to reverse the subsidy that was removed. They also said that the government was to go back and the next constitution should also be start away with it. Another demand they have made is that the Imam should be released. So these are not things that Nigerians can easily resonate with now. And there's hunger in the land. What I think that the protesters should focus on is to focus on engaging with the government to say that the government wants to scale up governance, to ensure that the hunger in the land is addressed definitely. So again, I think the way again that the protesters are going about it also, it's not really putting government on engaging. They are not engaging with the government. What you are saying is that we only see them in the media talking against the government. But what I expect them to do is to take this battle towards the government, the National Assembly, and request that we want to talk to the National Assembly, we want to talk to the president. These are our demands. We want you to address A, B, and C. So the point I'm making is that the process should be something that should be demanding for engagement, platform to engage with those that are in government, the presidency, the National Assembly, the state governors. But I've not seen the protest trying to create such platform. But what the protesters are doing, what they are focusing on is let us take over the street, and perhaps the government will be able to listen to us. But we've gone this way before, and we have not seen reasonable success being made. Again, I think what we need is to create, the protesters were to seek to create platform for dialogue with those who are in government. They have the responsibility to address the demands that they have put forward. Without that dialogue platform created, I don't think that the protesters will be able to achieve the desired intention of the protest that will make Nigerians to be happy about what the protesters are trying to bring about
all right then, Professor Jude, we'll pick more of this conversation with you during the course of the show. And let me come quickly to you, Ambassador Chibuzor Okereke. I'd like for you to, how do you assess the government's response to our challenges so far?
Well, it's a big challenge. Unfortunately, there's a declaration of national protest, and only the president is the one rallying people. He's the one rallying the traditional rulers. He's the only one rallying the governors. And you begin to ask, is it only federal government that we have in Nigeria? Are all Nigerian resources domiciled with the federal government? All the allocation that the state governors are receiving, what are they using it for? You even hear state governors announcing, oh, Mr. President has sent us 20 trucks of rice. As if he's the president they're protesting against. Only they're protesting against bad governance in the country, which cut across the three tiers of government and across the three arms of government. There is bad governance and corruption across these stratas of government. You have local government chairmen who have been receiving, and some of them are sole administrators, some as elected chairmen. They've been receiving allocation. Let's use this government since May 2023 up till now. They are also perpetuating bad governance at that level. And that is why I'm saying maybe this protest has now created an opportunity for us to highlight the role of civil society in being able to organize, coordinate, and present a charter of demand. Two, also for the government to desist from destroying our structures of social mobilization, like youth groups, women groups, nuns, and other structures. Because the rise in social movement is because of the collapse of this agency for social mobilization. People are not able to express themselves through coordinated channels anymore. And there is now, rise in the internet and availability of information. So they are leveraging that because all these other ones may have been governmentalized. This is the idea, government has. So in response to your question, look at the level of mobilization, look at the jittery, look at the amount of money that may have been expended, flying traditional rulers to Abuja, bringing governors to Abuja, taking them back. These are the kind of things we shouldn't wait to happen. We can deliver good governance to the people every day without waiting for a moment where we spend money in an extraordinary way to cushion whatever we assume may be the precaution for that. And the point also is that this kind of protest must hit the local government headquarters, must hit the state government headquarters and relevant agencies. I was just reading a report from in this paper, EFCC probing the Nigerian immigration, for passport racketeering, visa issues, and what else. These are the kind of problems. Basic institutions of government set up to render services to the people are the ones frustrating the citizens. And this is the issue. So maybe this will now re-engineer and recalibrate the government in terms of, political will to make sure that institutions work. Make no mistake about this. Government is organized by institutions. If those institutions don't work, no matter who you bring or whom you ask to resign, another person you have to, yes, showing political leadership is key for the institutions to work. But designing those institutions to work for us is better. If you watch today in Nigeria, because of resource infrastructure deficit and incompetence, people who have gone to private schools to study law cannot go to law school. They have to wait 2-3 years. They'll be asking themselves, what kind of a country, is this? Today we still camp people in NYSC camp for 3 weeks, and no army, no navy, no police will go there to do any recruitment. What are they doing inside camp?
Okay, let me come in here.
And the monies were spending there. Yeah.
Let me come in here very quickly. Earlier you talked about bad governance. You said in this administration people are complaining about bad governance. In the past administration we also complained about bad governance. Even the administration prior to that, bad governance. I'd like for you to talk about which area, where are we getting the disconnect, and what should have been done better, from the past government to this government and in the subsequent government, just so we don't keep having complaints about bad governance, bad governance, bad governance.
So I gave part of the response as policing the gateway to leadership recruitment, getting our electoral process right, so that the people who see the value of citizens, in line with Section 14, that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, citizens, from where government derives its powers to function. So you have to know you're a servant. So leadership and governance philosophy is very central. Who am I as a president, governor? You have to, if you don't answer that question, because the answer to that question in Nigeria is that I am the guy who has won the war. I am the guy with the power to dominate. I am the guy with the power to call the shot. But the leadership philosophy should be, I am the servant who has come to serve the people. So I gave you an example of unemployment and even lack of competitiveness in employment. Today, it is almost impossible for a nobody to find himself in Central Bank, in NCC, that may be 30 years, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And we are not even sure what is the personnel requirement of these agencies of government. Why should the rule collapse for political interest? And then people are just being parked there. And in Nigeria of today, in many agencies of government, the staff members there are abroad. Some under the claim of education leave, and we're paying them salary. So we need even audit of our productivity across agencies. So these are some of the things that are the issue. You watch the president's declaration of subsidy is gone, and now we hear that the subsidy is being paid. So the leadership integrity is now to come and talk to the country to say, this is the situation of things. I have no doubt that this president exuded a lot of capacity, confidence. He even said, don't cry for me, don't weep for me, don't worry about, I am the one that asks, for this job. So, I mean, so that must have been his assurance of his capacity to deliver. But when you enter into these government offices at presidential level, you will not discover that there are several non-disclosure agreements, not just in Nigeria, but with metropolitan states. How do you handle issue of where your country's crude oil that has not been exploited has been sold in advance? So, and that is why, rather than keep it to yourself and try to manage it, you address the people you are leading as to the true state of affairs of what we are dealing with. If citizens said, we don't want this 690 because we have waited for 1 year for you to implement it, you say that is our path to Eldorado. It has failed, obviously. We want it to be sold at 300. Then a structured system can be put in place to sit down and debate it. Because if a policy is implemented and then you can see the feedback that is not delivering even what you thought about, there is nothing wrong in reversing that policy. After all, the resources belongs to the people and you are managing it on their behalf. And if people have sold it, like we know they did, they have sold crude oil that are yet to be exploited, you need to find a way to disclose that to Nigerians and probably reverse, the kind of economic challenges or tackle alternative policies that will cushion the effect, like transportation costs. In this FCT and many states, there's no mass transportation system. We are not encouraging the private sector to invest in it. If you have private business in Nigeria, the local government people, the state people, they will almost besiege you with demand notice of all kinds of things you have to pay daily. They don't care whether in fact, they don't have statistics of businesses that are succeeding, the ones that have closed down. Why did it close down? You can't run a system that way. If small businesses are closing down in Nigeria because we're even taxing them out of business, electricity tariff for business in Nigeria has higher unit per consumption than private homes of big men.
Indeed.
That philosophy is problematic to me.
All right, let's get comments from Professor Jude. So, if you have listened to what Mr. Okereke has been talking about, Professor Jude, he has spoken to the issues with regards to the government responses to the plight of Nigerians in terms of responding to the challenges, responding to the sufferings, and ensuring that Nigerians see the impact that they make. But then again, what's your assessment of some of these developments? Do you think that the government ought to have done more? Perhaps this demonstration would have been avoided in the first instance. Okay, unfortunately, we lost Professor Jude there. But then again, Mr. Okereke, Professor Jude earlier in his submissions talked about the same thing that you were worried about, and which is the unstructured nature of the demonstration and how this would, in a long run, play, a disadvantage card to the demonstrators. What do you think could be done now to salvage the situation if the said anonymous demonstrators and leaders of the demonstration come out, to say, okay, we're responsible, we led this protest? What are those quick low-hanging fruits that they could, salvage in order to save the entire situation?
Yeah, so there are a number of things to achieve. First, you open the door for negotiation, for discussion on some of the timelines. For instance, there are a lot of demands in the charter that has been put forward. If I were even around there, I will add more. Maybe you will reach 100, because I don't see this 10 is not even critical enough in my estimation. If you know exactly what is happening in Nigeria, and one of the one I will push for is the issue of competitive environment. Let people have opportunity to get ahead because they have worked hard for it, right? So I think that it opens door for civil society to come in to play a critical role, like the media is doing, highlighting it. Civil society need to come in, help streamline the charter of demand, and as I've been told in history, sometimes the price for freedom is prison. So you have no fear, right? Because rather than being anonymous and create a chaotic situation where people will start vandalizing private businesses, people may have taken loan to build. I know, yes, some people, if you go online, they have their own argument about how we can reset Nigeria. They say we must burn Nigeria for it to come alive again. But some of us, some of us don't share that view. Because I don't see any country in Africa that can contend Nigeria. Look at the hardship and bad governance, the amount of volume of people that are jabbering, every year. Then think about a situation where you don't even have a country anymore because it's on fire. Is it Ghana that you're already having problem there that will take you? Is it South Africa that you're having xenophobia challenges with? Or is it Nigeria that is under military dictatorship and, having... Which country in Africa is going to take Nigeria? Because there is a perception about Nigeria that we are hardworking, we are dominant, we have dominant genes. So we need to use a table negotiation, consensus building, resistant, peaceful, demanding of what should be done, and more importantly, being actively involved in politics. Make no mistake about it, politics controls almost everything you talk about. It is politics that can change your citizenship of a country because they can amend the law in one day. So we have to be interested. If you look at the voter turnout in 2023 election, that is not fair. For a country, we had less than 30-something million votes out of 90-something million registered voters. If you look at some of these pictures, you see children participating in this protest who never get to participate in the electoral process. So that is very, very important for me. So I think that going forward, we should not stop at this protest. We should also now go to the next level to say CSOs coalition come together. I think the anonymous declaration of this protest has now given opportunity for us to tackle issue of bad governance that is even older than SARS. Bad governance is older than SARS.
So we're going to be taking a break now. So as when we return, we'll be looking at what's on the front pages of the national dailies across the country, and hopefully this will also form part of the conversation. Do stay with us.